you started using AI agents to drive a browser, you've probably run into a choice: Playwright CLI or Playwright MCP. Both are official, both work well, and the internet has strong opinions about which one you should be using. In this video, I walk you through where each one fits and where I find MCP still has the edge: debugging. We'll cover the trade-off, look at quick demo, and finish with the rules I use to pick between them. I'm Adil Mansoor, and this is AI for Engineers: practical tools, real workflows, no hype. Let's get started. Okay, so here's where the AI engineering world is right now on browser automation. There are two ways to give your coding agent a browser. There's Playwright CLI, a command line tool, and the Playwright MCP, a model context protocol server. Same underlying engine. Two completely different ways of talking to it. And right now, if you read the discourse, the momentum is on the CLI side. The CLI is roughly 4 times cheaper on tokens. It writes snapshots and traces to disk instead of streaming them through the protocol. Microsoft themselves point coding agents like Claude Code, Cursor, Copilot, and Windsurf at the CLI, and those agents have shell access. And honestly, for a lot of browser automation, that's a reasonable default. If you want to generate a Playwright test, run it 100 times in CI, and write a trace file when it fails, the CLI is great at that. It's cheaper, it's repeatable, the artifacts live next to your code. But there's one workflow where I find myself reaching for MCP instead. And it's something you probably do most days as an engineer: debugging. Not running tests, not generating tests, debugging. The messy, exploratory, why is this thing not working right now part of the job. That's where the CLI's strength, files on disk, starts to work against you, and where I think MCP tends to come out ahead. Here's the move. Think of Playwright MCP as a glass cockpit for your agent. In a glass cockpit, every instrument the pilot needs is on one screen, updating live. Altitude, airspeed, attitude, engine, all of it streaming, all at the same time. You don't go open separate gauges, you don't fetch data from a logbook, it's just there. That's what the MCP does for browser debugging. When the agent does anything in the page, click, navigate, wait, the response that comes back includes the accessibility tree, the console output, and the recent network activity, all stream back into your chat as one structured snapshot. You and the agent are looking at the same dashboard at the same time. The CLI can do most of those things too, but it puts them on disk. You ask for a snapshot, it writes a file. You want the console, that's another file. The network log, another file. Now your agent has to go open each one, read it, summarize it, bring the relevant pieces back into context. That's 3 or 4 extra steps, and during those steps, the page state has already moved on. For a test run, that's fine. The page is deterministic and you rerun it. But for debugging, that's where you're trying to catch the moment a bug happens. Those extra steps add up. It really helps when the agent is seeing what you're seeing at the same time. That's the whole pitch. MCP makes the invisible visible in real time in one place. All right, here's the setup. Tiny demo storefront, Northwind Coffee, one product, one add to cart button. Looks like 1,000 other shops you've seen. I click add to cart, nothing happens. No pop-up, no toast, no error. The cart count in the corner stays at 0. If I were a real shopper, I'd assume the button was broken and leave. If I crack open DevTools, I can find a console error and a 401 on the network panel, but that's a bunch of clicks. And I still have to piece together what they mean. Let me skip all of that. I'm going to ask Claude one question in plain English. I don't tell it which tool to use. I don't write any test code. I just describe what's happening on my side. The prompt: open HTTP localhost 3000 and click the add to cart button. Nothing visible happens when I click it, but I'm not sure why. Take a look at the page, the console, any network requests, and tell me what's actually going wrong. Watch the chat fill in. Claude calls Playwright through MCP. Back comes an accessibility snapshot. The button, the cart count, the heading, all structured. Then the console one error. Add to cart failed 401. Then the network panel, post API card, status 401, body says authentication required. All of that came back as part of one streamed response. No file shuffling, no second round trip. The agent and I are looking at the same page at the same moment with the same data. Claude pulls it all together. The button is hitting card API, the API is rejecting the request as unauthenticated, and the front end is logging the error but never showing it to the user. The fix is in two places: surface the error so user knows to log in, and on the back end if the guest checkout was supposed to work in the first place. The whole loop, bug to root cause to fix recommendation, under a minute. Quick bonus before we move on. The example I just walked through was a single broken button. The symptom was right there on the screen. But the place where MCP really starts to pull ahead is the opposite kind of site, the one where most of what's happening is invisible at all. Think about the difference between a simple e-commerce site and something like Amazon. The simple site is mostly user journey, click, add, checkout. CLI handles that beautifully. But on Amazon, every page paints a fire. A stack of analytic events, set cookies, kick off background fetches, mutates the DOM in ways the visible UI doesn't show. When something breaks on a site like that, the bug is rarely on screen. It's in the events you can't see. That's the kind of debugging where streamed video tends to pay off the most. Quick test. Same page, I want to know 3 things this page is doing and I can't see by looking at it. So I write a small test plan, 3 checks, and I'm going to ask Claude to run all 3 through MCP and report back. The first, what cookies has the page set since I loaded it? The second, what network requests fire automatically on page load, not tied to anything I click? The third, what does the little card count on the header actually say in the DOM right now? I send all 3 in one prompt. 3 answers come back in one streaming response. There's a session ID, cookie got dropped on first visit, there's a post to API analytics page view that fired the moment the page loaded, nothing the user did. And the card count in the DOM still reads 0. Even though I tried to add something earlier, which is consistent with what we found in the main demo, the front end never got a successful response back. The 3 different kinds of off-screen, cookie state, background events, DOM state, surfaced in one trip. None of that came from dev tools. None of it was needed for me to write a Playwright script. On a small site like this, you might find some of it by hand. On something the size of Amazon, where every page is doing dozens of things invisibly, this is where streamed view starts to win bigger argument. This is very underrated use case for Playwright MCP, the ability to seamlessly go under the hood of a browser session. Before we wrap, 3 rules of thumb I used to pick between CLI and MCP without overthinking it. If the work is going to run 100 times unattended, generating tests, running regressions, smoke checks, the CLI is usually the better fit. Cheaper, file-based, version controllable. You get artifacts you can diff and rerun. If you're sitting at your desk trying to figure out why something is broken right now, that's where I tend to reach for MCP. The stream view helps a lot, and the extra token cost is usually worth the time you save. This is the part people miss. Both can sit side by side in the same agent, wire up the MCP server in your client, keep the CLI installed in your project, and use whichever fits the task in front of you. They're really just different tools in the same belt. Okay, let's recap. The setup. The discourse right now lean towards CLI replacing MCP. For a lot of automation work, that's a fair read. For debugging, I think MCP still has the edge. The reason: debugging is exploratory, the accessibility tree, the console, and the network all stream back in the chat in one snapshot. MCP gives you the narrative, CLI can get you there too, but it adds round trips through the file system. The demo: one prompt, one streaming response, root cause found. A debug session that might have taken away 20 minutes compressed into a few. The rule: CI work lends towards CLI. Live debugging lends towards MCP. The easiest move is to install both and let the task pick. If this was useful, hit subscribe. I'm putting out more videos like this, practical ways to use AI agents for real engineering workflows. Not hype, not theory, stuff you can try in your terminal today. Next episode, we're going deeper. I'll see you there.